In this video, what we're going to look at is how to do a standard WordPress installation. So what I mean by standard is this isn't specific to any hosting provider. You should be able to install WordPress using this procedure on every hosting company that has a MySQL database and that has PHP. And those are pretty minimum standards that almost every hosting company in the world will be able to provide. The first thing, let's just verify that there's nothing installed here on our test site at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to wordpress.org, which is where we download the WordPress software. So you can see the big download button here. So it gives me different options, so I'm just going to pick the default option and click the button to download a zip file. So we can see that downloading. This takes a couple of moments, depends on how fast your internet connection is. Okay, so that's downloaded. So now what we need to do is go and find where we've downloaded the file. So here it is here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to extract all the files. This is what's called unzipping. So I'm going to unzip all these files so that they're now on my local PC here. So now I have WordPress software downloaded. So inside the WordPress 3.0 we can see a WordPress folder with lots and lots of files in it. So what we need to do now is we need to move all of these files up onto the website. So what I've done here is I'm logging into the SAS FTP and I'm going to the www or public HTML folder. It's the same folder, one is a link to the other. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on my hard drive and find where I downloaded and extracted WordPress. So I know it's in my downloads folder. So I want to find all the WordPress files. What I want to do here now is, I can see a list of all the files here. I want to move all of these files up onto the server. So I've done right click and then choose upload. So now again, this can take quite a while depending on how slow or fast your internet connection is. I've seen it done in 5, 10, 15 seconds on very, very fast connections, and sometimes it can take 10 or even 15 minutes on very, very slow connections. So it depends completely on the speed, how long the upload takes. Okay, so still uploading, and finally we're done uploading. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to close this window here, switch back to the website and refresh, and we can see WordPress now has given us this page, and we click on create a configuration file and it brings us into this installation where it's going to ask us now for a lot of information that we can get from Bluehost. So let's start this installation. Okay, so here's where we need to get the database name, username, password, and the host name. So we can get all of these from Bluehost. So if we can go to the Bluehost control panel and we scroll down here, what we're looking for is the database section, and I'm going to click on MySQL databases. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a new database. So I'm giving it a name of self-as. Unfortunately, that's how self-assembly is concatenated. Self-as CMS. So that's going to be the database name. And now that we've got the database created, so what I'm doing now is I'm creating a user for the database, and I've given it a random username with some digits on there, and now I'm getting it to generate a secure password for myself. So I'm going to copy this password into a safe place, So I'm going to save this in a notepad window. I'm going to put in what it's for. And I'm going to put in the username as well. I'm just going to save that. I think I'll just save it on my desktop or my documents here. Okay. So I can take that to say I've copied the password into a safe place. So now I'm going to create this user. So that's confirming it's created the user. It's going to go back here. So now in the username field and password field, I can put in the information that I've copied here. So here's the username that we just created. And here's the password that we had generated for us. Okay. So for database host, you can normally leave this as localhost, but I'm sure that we'll be able to confirm that with Bluehost. And you can see there's some information here. You can almost always use localhost, but they do give you another name to use if localhost doesn't work. And in this case it's box498.bluehost.com. We'll just leave that in there. And then finally, it's what's called a table prefix. This is if you want to install WordPress a couple of different times. So now what we need to do is we need to add the user to the database and give it all privileges. What this does, this allows the username that we've just created to have access to the database that we created. Otherwise it won't have permission. You have to explicitly give permission. So now we've verified all the settings and we're ready to run the install. And the next bit of the setup now is just setting up basic site information. So title, this will be your business name or your blog name or the name of the site that you're going to be setting up. You can set up a username. You can use just admin by default, or you can use your first name. You can use something like this. I'm putting in something random so people can't guess it. Don't worry, I'm going to change it after we're finished with all these videos. And then what you can do is you can get a password. So I like to get a good secure password like we saw on Bluehost. I'll show you a couple other places you can get them. If you Google for password generator, there's a couple of different options there. The one that I like to use is GRC. It's on grc.com. And if you refresh this page, you'll see that it gives a couple of different passwords in the 3 boxes in the middle of the page. What you can do is you can just copy and paste some text from any of those boxes that you need. So I've just copied and pasted the password from there. I'm just going to add my email address in and install. Of course you're going to want to allow WordPress to appear, your blog to appear in Google. Most of the time you want to allow that. So that's the WordPress install process. Quite easy. And here I'm just going to save the password that I just generated on GRC. This is tied up, can be cut. Okay, so we're ready to log in for the first time now. So here's the WordPress login, and if we go back to where we saved the admin username and password, we can copy and paste those in. And here's our WordPress dashboard. And if you just open up the link in the top right, you can see there's the site set up with all the default settings from WordPress. There's the site name you chose at an install time. and the tagline. So that's how easy it is to install WordPress the manual way.